You're watching the Katrina Merriweather Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A.
It's time to talk Tiger women's basketball. Today, we'll look at their early season highlights, their summer trip to Greece, and a preview of American Athletic Conference play. It's all upcoming on the Katrina Merriweather Show.
I learned very quickly what it means to be a
The Katrina Merriweather Show is presented by Chick-Fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And by Simmons Bank, the official sponsor of women's athletics.
The Tigers have become battle-tested in this non-conference basketball season. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin.
And I'm Tyler Springs. Let's take a look at a few highlights.
On the heels of final exams, the Tigers started a tough three-game stretch with North Carolina Central. Madison Griggs able to help drive a wedge in between the Tigers and Eagles. Griggs had 18 points and 5 of these dimes. She finds top scorer Jamira Schutz down low. Schutz has that title for a reason. She had a team-high 21 after puzzling her way to basket after basket. Memphis also got help from their bench, which chipped in 45 points on the night. Imani Jefferson led all reserves with 11 points, including this finish. Memphis moves to 5-4, winning 92-66. 2 days later, hosting Middle Tennessee, Memphis would fall behind early, would have been down even more if not for Destiny Jackson. She had that first half triple in a 7-point night, and Shelby Brown added a hard-nosed bucket down low. Tiger defense struggled mightily. They gave up 8 three-pointers, 4 of them in the fourth quarter, en route to a 69-53 loss. So 3 days after that, Memphis on the road with an 11 a.m. Eastern Time tip-off at Towson. The blue and gray fell behind early again, down 22 in the first half, but here comes the rally. Jamira Schutz seeking out Madison Griggs in the corner. Griggs shooting to thrill. The Tigers cut the lead to 16 at the half. More hustle on the defensive end for Griggs. With the steal here, Schutz on a transition mission. Takes it to the rack, comes up empty. But as fate would have it, Destiny Thomas appears. She was the outstanding performer in this one, scoring a career-high 11. Then Griggs, in the final minute, the mid-ranger for the tie. Tigers need to stop. Jada Wright gets the block. Memphis ball. Seconds left. Jamira Schutz goes barreling to the rim. Jada Wright with the follow at the horn. Tigers improve to 6-5. Katrina Merriweather will take the win, and she'll take our questions now.
Coach, people love to find out how good their team is by playing the best. Well, you've played in this stretch some pretty good teams, Indiana, at South Carolina. What'd you find out about your team?
I think that we are competitors. No, there wasn't any part of either one of those games where I feel like we quit or we gave up. But at the same time, I think holding on to game plans and having some discipline for long stretches of time, I think we were exposed there a bit through adversity. We may even need to work a little harder, sticking together. So I'm really happy with what came out from those games for sure.
The variety of distractions you encounter on the road is different than what you see at home. How do you think your team responded to those things for their first road trip of the year?
Yeah, I think it was good. I mean, and again, we're back to crediting Greece for that, as we've already had a really long road trip. But this was different, and traveling to different places and playing different teams that are in different places. Some really good coaches, I feel like, in all 4 of our games on the road. But again, programs that are just in different 1 year, 2 year, then all the way to, St. John's in Indiana, who have veteran coaches. So I feel like we handled a lot of the distractions fairly well. It's just a really long time to be on the road together.
Just looking at your numbers, Schutz and Griggs, I think as you expected, are leading the way. Give me some other names that folks have stepped up and are producing like you would hope they would.
Imani Jefferson has still continued to bring an incredible amount of energy on both ends. She's continuing to grow. We are figuring out how to help her tame some of that energy and aggression so she can play as many minutes as we need her to. It is very obvious when she's not on the floor. I think our pace is different. I think our aggressiveness, especially defensively, is different. So we just have to continue to impress upon her how important she is to what we're doing so that she can stay on the floor as long as we need her to. Hannah Riddick, that's now starting in the 4 spot just as a sophomore. Initially, we walked into the season saying, you have Lynetta Williams, who scores the ball really well. You have Shelby Brown, who defends really well, and Hannah, who rebounds very well. So really, it was the pick of whoever the game calls for is who we're going to play. And Hannah has been the one that in my mind has been the most consistent in all 3 areas. And so she's growing every single game and getting some really cool opportunities. And lastly would be Tanya Welch. This is a freshman that doesn't care who we're playing. She brings the same amount of energy and passion to the game. And the cool part about her is she does it in practice too.
How important is it for those kids who are less experienced to get these kind of minutes against high-powered teams?
I think it's critical. I mean, we play a really long season. 30 games is a lot. And so you can ride Maddie and Jamira out and even Imani for 30 or 35 minutes. And where are they going to be in March? And we want to be playing our best basketball. So having enough talent to be able to do that is the first part of it. And we believe we have that. Destiny Thomas has great hands and footwork and a strong body. I think that what they all need is confidence. And that only comes from getting minutes during the game.
I'm curious a little bit about your background and the way it works with scheduling, because you go way back with all these people. Is that something you're going to keep with when you schedule? I don't know if South Carolina was part of that too.
Yes, absolutely. On that staff is Jolette Law, who was at Ball State in Indiana. So her and my dad had a relationship from way back. And one of the things, whether it's recruiting, and I'm learning as a head coach, because I can't say I had any foresight in that, is it does help with scheduling. When you can pick up the phone and call somebody, and true enough, they look and it's like, oh, just little Trina, Kevin's daughter, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll continue to earn some respect, and it'll be different than little Trina. But it's great when you have respect for other coaches, and they do reciprocate it, even though they still look at me as a kid sometimes. Those folks have meant so much to basketball in general. When we go and bring in Middle Tennessee and the Insels, like that entire family, my dad is known through AAU ball. So for sure, I think they probably don't know me, but they at least know my dad, and some even know my granddad.
That'll change. Someday they'll go, oh, she's Trina's dad.
Yeah, I get that sometimes, like every once in a while, but not often. I think it'll probably always be that way, especially with more veteran coaches, for sure.
In terms of styles, are you happy with what you've seen taking on an offensively minded Indiana team and a defensively minded South Carolina team and exposing your team just different ways to play and what to play against?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, you can get better in practice, obviously playing each other. And we have a great practice squad that I give credit a lot to what we're able to do, because they're bigger, stronger, faster. But then there's just these times where they're not reminiscent of an actual women's team. They don't practice every day. They don't have a system. They have whatever system our coaches give them to run against us for us to be able to guard and score against. So those games, to me, you can't figure out where your team is without them. And when we have this conversation about Memphis and what we want Memphis to become, I can tell them what a number 1 team does or what a number 5 team does, but you need to see it. And more importantly, you need to feel it, like what the number 1 rebounding team in the country feels like to go against. And I think that just helps them continue to be coachable. It's good for me. I'm just in year 7, and so we're watching these games back, and you notice these different strategies within the game, and there's some of what we call, and there's some like, I didn't know that they were doing that, and so these are things that we're going to take, and we're going to continue to grow as a coaching staff as well.
Well, you heard Coach mention the team's trip to Greece this summer. Up ahead, we'll take a look at what the Tigers did in the Mediterranean.
You're watching the Katrina Merriweather Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A.
10 days, 5 flights, and a whole lot of new sights and sounds for the Memphis Tigers women's basketball team. Let's take a look at their trip to Greece.
So much fun. That damn, say what's up to the camera. What's going on? Tigers have landed in Paris. We are in Paris. I'm about to get so fat in Greece. I'm about to eat all the food. We are in Greece. That hotel is nice.
You took this program on a trip to Greece over the summer, and it was one that had been scheduled before you got here, but then delayed until your tenure. What were the challenges of that, but also what were the payoffs that you got out of that?
Every time something awesome happens here, I realize how many people it takes to pull something like that off. And whether it's the people who donate the money for us to be able to go, the group that we went with that made sure that we had these really great guides, Devin Reed, our director of basketball operations, who then jumps in and makes sure that everything runs smoothly. It was a lot. And I think that people who had just gotten to know each other, probably 6 weeks before that, taking a 9-day trip, led for a lot of interesting events. But I do think that them having an opportunity to see different things culturally is always really special. Playing some basketball is obviously the main point, and we were able to win some games over there. I was able to play around with some lineups and, just kind of see people in an environment where I don't think anyone felt as much pressure as if it was a regular season game. So there were a lot of benefits. And I think everyone had a good time too.
What do you like about this Memphis program? You committed here back in November, and you're one of 2 freshmen at the time to commit. What did you think when you first saw the opportunity to come to Memphis and you said, this is for me?
Well, it's close to home for me. I'm only an hour away, so that was a big drawing point. And, it's a sisterhood for real. They weren't playing when they said that, and that was a big drawing point too. So,
this trip to Greece, this is pretty special. Is this your first time going international?
Yeah, first time. Everything's been pretty surprising, actually, from just, the different cultures and all of that.
Being around your teammates so much and getting ready to play some competition as well, what is this trip making you think about your team and the way things are shaping up for Memphis?
I'm really enjoying it. We're getting closer. It's a huge bonding experience, and that's a big one for me because, I'm a quiet person, and it's just making me get out of my comfort zone and just enjoy their presence more.
Yeah, it was definitely a great experience. Me personally, it showed me how it would be to play overseas maybe. And it just helped our team build our chemistry, going out with each other all the time, dinners and seeing things together, experiencing things together. That's what it's all about, experiencing great things, traveling the world. And to do that with your team is amazing and a blessing to do because everyone doesn't get that opportunity. And it just gave us a little more extra playing time together so we can come in the season a little bit more prepared than some other teams. And I feel like it was an advantage for us to go overseas and play and see and just experience that whole trip. So it was pretty good for us.
Yeah, it's amazing what a basketball can do, right? It takes you all over the world. Greece was unbelievable. Just to experience the culture, experience the food, experience just the historic places, the churches. It was really special. But what I really appreciated the most was to see them experience that. A lot of our players have never been to Greece or out of the country, so to see them from start to finish leaving Memphis, to get there and to come back and just see them be together while they experience that was really cool. We went on a boat tour and we went to multiple islands. In the first island, they had like a jumping rock, and we couldn't find majority of the team. And so we go walking the path up to the jumping rock, and I see like majority of the team just in the water. Amani doing backflips, Maddie doing cannonballs. So that was just really cool. I know that was a moment that they were waiting on, to get in the water and stuff, but it was really fun to watch them.
Destiny, we got to walk up the Acropolis and see the Parthenon today. How do you process that experience?
It was just amazing, beautiful, breathtaking. Loved every bit of it.
Did you slip at all?
Yes, did slip, but I did not fall, so I was okay.
You played a selection of Greek professionals the other day in Thessaloniki. What was that like for your team? You guys won by a lot, but how did you feel playing alongside some players you haven't played with before?
It felt great. We definitely prepared for that moment. It seemed like the way we went out there and how we played together, that we've been playing together for a long time. So for that to be our first game together, as a whole, it was actually pretty impressive.
How much time have you had to bond with your teammates? Have you had a favorite moment where you felt like you guys really connected?
Honestly, we've been together this entire time, so this whole trip has really been about bonding. I would say yesterday was probably the most we've bonded because of how long the event was, and we got to, hang out and kind of be on our own. I got to, hang out with different girls and shop with them and see their type of interest and what we're looking for and got their opinions on stuff.
And that was a 3-island boat trip, right? Did you go swimming at all?
I got in the water. I didn't get all the way in, but I got in, put my feet in.
It was just unreal, the history and the culture. And the people were so nice. They were welcoming to us, and sometimes we had restaurants, laid out just for us, and people who owned them were coming in and cooking the food just for us. And it was just a top tier experience that one can't put a price on, but you almost don't ever get again. And so you have to take, everything for what it is.
Yeah, I'm mic'd up.
This could be fun though.
Athens, panoramic view. It's so beautiful. That's pretty cool. What if Chris Brown performed here? No.
Make yourself up.
This is total Percy Jackson vibe. Like they really knew key architecture back then.
Literally.
Like they knew. Architectural geniuses. I want to touch it. Can I touch it?
No.
What's the proper name for the religion? Like Greek mythology?
It's like the 12 gods.
Okay. Do you think they were real?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm in Greece, so I'm gonna say yes. And that fact about the olive trees, how they can live for 4,000 years. I'm like, olive trees been seen some things. We'll never eat olive oil the same.
Coming up next, we look at what's ahead for the Memphis Tigers, including the start to American Athletic Conference play.
You're watching the Katrina Merriweather Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
Coach, you're about to start conference play. Earlier, you told us you should at least get third place in the league. Still feel that way?
I feel like we have enough talent to finish third. It takes more than that. Right, we got to have some chemistry. We, again, have to have some discipline. We have to be able to follow game plans. It's not enough just to be talented. So, when you take a look at our roster next to other people's rosters, I do believe that we're in the top 3 talent-wise. But we have to actually play the game the way that it's supposed to.
What do the best teams in this league do that you have to match?
We're talking South Florida, and everybody knows that. They just had a huge win. They are a high-engine offensive team. They are constantly moving and screening, and if you don't communicate and you don't talk through those screens, if you don't guard the ball, keeping it in front, they force you into these rotations and they kick out the shooters. And it's really textbook basketball. And it's just so much credit should go to their players for buying in, as well as the coaching staff for being able to pick a style that they're really good at.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
The way things are evolving, this could be a very fun AAC season. We're back with a wrap on this show in just a minute.
You're watching the Katrina Merriweather Show, presented by Chick-Fil-A.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again a month from now.
The game is on. The Katrina Merriweather Show is presented by Chick-Fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And by Simmons Bank, the official sponsor of women's athletics. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.